Hi guys, Kirk and Sons here with Kirk, Giordano, Plastering. Today, I'm going to show you guys how to do an interior ceiling. Now this ceiling here, why are we doing it? You see these pipes right here, those copper pipes? If you guys hire a plumber, check 3, use your gut feeling to find out who knows what they're doing, and hire that fella. This guy did it. A slight leak, the whole ceiling came off. So what they have here is, this is the old lath and plaster ceiling. When I say old lath and plaster ceiling, you see all these little black spots. There's a whole bunch of these little black spots. What they originally had here is old lath. What is old lath? It's strips of wood, and they put it across. They leave a gap about 3/8 of an inch, a 1/4 inch, and the new plaster adheres by mushrooming through those wood lath. Now the wood lath is from the 1910 to about 1960, and they stopped doing that stuff, guys. Sheetrock was invented. So when I came here, I said, well, gee, why not just put sheetrock over it? And they said, well, we want to keep everything original with lath and plastering. So because they don't sell wood lath anymore, we're going to put metal on here. We're going to do it just like if it's a hospital or a school. We're going to put a rib lath across here. Then we're going to coat that with certain cements. I'll get into that later. So what we're going to do now is, we've got a hardwood floor here. It's a pretty hardwood floor, so we don't want to damage it. What we're doing here is we're going to put plastic. Then we're going to put tarps underneath, and our scaffold, because the weight of all of us, Jay's going to be on it, I'm going to be on it, we're going to be plastering. The weight, we don't want the scaffold legs to dig into the wood, so we're going to put cardboard under that. I brought some shims right here. This is just 1x1s, because right here we have something to attach the metal. Of course, we're going to attach to the studs here. And right here, this one's kind of beat up, so I'm going to sister this in here and hammer it. That way we have something to nail. As we do this, I'll explain more about the cement plasters, gypsum materials, why and what have you. There's different materials we have to use here. Some are compatible, some are not. So once we get this set up and we have a whole platform that we could walk on without having to watch every step, we don't want to put 10 plank here and then we have to watch our step or go through the plank. So we're going to platform this out. Once we get to that stage, we'll show you what the system I'm prepared to use on this particular ceiling, because you guys might have this same situation and not want sheetrock, instead want real plaster. Well, we'll show you that when we get to that stage. Okay guys, we have set up everything. That takes longer to set up than to do what we're about to do. We're going to attach the wire now. Adolfo, Dan, you guys hold it up. Here's a tip, guys, with this this mesh here. This is rib lath. Rib lath is, once we're done, it's going to be like plywood up here. Again, it's for hospitals and schools, rib lath. The key to this, guys, is to be straight. If you're really straight, the next pieces will align really well. If they're not, you're going to waste a lot of time. So I'm going into the stud. What you folks won't see is I'm using 1.25" crown staples. All I need are 7/8 of an inch staples, but because I already have the 1.25" for my lath purposes, I could use it for this. You folks grab that next sheet, Adolfo, Dan. And what we're going to do, guys, is if this is sturdy, the rest of the job will go really well. If this is wiggly and wavy, you go to plaster it, it pushes this up, and then when it comes down, it all goes into your face. So let's see, what we want to do is get this, we want to be looking into the V. So we get that into the V there. We put this V into the existing V, we overlap, and this saves a ton of time, guys. Why? Well, if you have this wiggling when you go to plaster, say, we'll plaster it, and if it goes up and then it comes down, the plaster will fall all over your face. How do I know this? I've done about 50 ceilings, and after 50 ceilings, you learn what to do and what not to do. It's kind of like all this plastic we got around this whole place. It makes life so much easier in the long run because we are going to drop mud. We are not using a gypsum-based mud. We're not using structo-lite veneer. Technically I would, however, we got a situation here where, notice this finish. It's a heavy sand finish. It's a 1620. It's a sand finish here. And if I were to use, say, up here, any of the gypsum-based products, such as structo-lite, any of the veneers, Diamond, Imperial, and there's 10 others, I won't be able to match this finish here. So what we're going to use is a Portland-based base coat, and then we're going to come back with a La Habra heavy sand finish to match the finish here. It would be a lot easier if I were able to put a gypsum-based coat on here, such as Imperial, but a Portland-based finish coat would not adhere. You got to know your materials, guys. Number one is 70% of what we do is knowing what materials to use and what materials you cannot use. So we got that part licked. We're going to go ahead and finish the lath. And once it's all done, we're going to go ahead and show you how we put the first coat. And we are going to be using a Portland-based cement. And we're going to use a Portland-based cement for the finish coat so we can match this finish. I can't add sand to, say, the limes, the structo-lites, or the gypsums and come up with a uniform finish like this. It just won't work, guys. It'll drag. So when we get to that stage, again, we'll show you. We're going to go ahead and finish getting all this lath up. And why am I wearing these goggles here? Because we did a pretty good job of removing all the nails and all the dust. There's still dust, and it goes in your eyeballs. You're screwed, guys. So wear the best pair of glasses you got, and we'll see you guys in less than a second. Okay, guys, let me go over a few things before we get started. We're about to mix some mud, and the mud we're going to use is, we got half hour to put it on, otherwise it's set hard, and it's set stronger than foundations. It's a 4,700 psi, crazy strong. Here's what we got to have, guys. We've got to have it sturdy. What happens if we have it loose? Well, we put the mud on and it goes up, and when it springs back down, it goes boing, and it goes all over you. I've been covered with this stuff on many jobs, so it's all got to be set very well. Gypsum or Portland, I'd take gypsum any day, but I can't use the gypsum on here because I can't achieve this finish. So we're going to be stuck using Portland, which is twice as strong, but really takes a lot of practice. You got to mix it extremely rich, otherwise it falls all over. Now, guys, what I was talking about is a platform. This is a platform. You see this? Another thing, too, guys, is, okay, we have the plastic underneath. We have the tarp above. Under my legs, I have this. Why? Because if any of you contractors done this, you know this. We're going to be standing up here. Jay, me, Adolfo are going to be plastering. My son Dan's going to be pouring mud for us. There's going to be a lot of weight on this, so unless you have cardboard underneath the legs, you can beat up the floor. Have I done it? Yes, about 20 years ago. That being said, the foundation is extremely strong, which reminds me of a time, Jay's 21st birthday. We went into a club to have drinks, and there was this really big lady dancing on a table. And Jay says, "Wow, great legs." She looks at him and says, "You really think so?" He says, "Definitely. Most tables would have collapsed by now. That's why you got this little scar right here. So you got to watch what you say, but when you're plastering, you got to watch what you're doing." Anyway, we're going to go ahead and mix, and we'll show you how we put that on. Okay, guys, we got the perimeter. I'm working with the amazing Adolfo. This guy is one of the better plasters I ever worked with. Almost as good as me. But anyway, he's helping me do this, and Jay just now got off because we got it handled. This is a quick setting mud. Anybody who doesn't think putting mud above your head, defying gravity, is not difficult, you haven't done this before. This, you only go a little bit at a time. What's actually happening, guys? It's mushrooming. It's going through the top. It mushrooms. That is how it adheres. Similar to old button board back in the 50s. A good idea is never to work underneath yourself. but work away. Me, I'm not too concerned about it. Especially where the joints are too. Where it overlaps, guys. Again, doesn't matter how well you lath it or how good you are, some of it's going to come down. If I was using gypsum right now instead of Portland, oh man, it'd be so easy to do this. Technically, it's easy right now. Just set them right there, Dan. Got my son Dan. He's bringing us this good mud. A little bit at a time, guys. What's that all saying? 1,000 miles, step at a time, you'll get there. This is the same thing. And by the way, this material, again, it is called Eisenwall. Eisenwall is not sold at Home Depot or Lowe's. Their other product, Rapid Set, however, is. Why isn't this sold at the big chain stores? There's a lot of do's and don'ts in this material here. It is very difficult to work with. It's not really homeowner friendly. This stuff, they make bridges with it for a reason. It's incredibly strong. But it got a lot of do's and don'ts. So you homeowners want to do something like this, use the Rapid Set, or actually I'd use a gypsum based product myself, because again, we're matching this heavy finish. In order to match that heavy finish, we need the right base. So this is the right base. And again, guys, it all takes practice. And it takes more than practice. Somebody knows how to mix a proper mix. It's got to go rich. For a wall, you can go 3 to 1. This is 2 to 1, and we are on our third bag. These are 100-pound sacks, and we mix 2 times as much sand. If I was outside doing a wall, I'd mix 3 to 1. But here, I want it really rich because of gravity. Anyhow, we're going to let you guys go right now. Jay's going to come up here and help us knock this out. When we do the finish coat, that's where we'll show you the magic. Okay, guys, let me show you what we did. We floated it. If I would have left this steel trowel, it'd still be kind of moist. When you float it like this, it dries out because it opens up the stucco. Boring stuff, but now Adolfo he's skimming it. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking a float, because what we're matching is exposed aggregate. What is exposed aggregate? That means you float it and you bring the sand to the surface. So we're using the exact same sand, and he's spreading it, and all I'm doing is floating it. That means I'm bringing it to the surface, just like here. In fact, we are going to skim this too, because it's not pretty. It's not really as consistent as the homeowner wants it. So that's what we do. Now, close-up will show that this is a pretty heavy finish. What we're going to do, guys, is I'll show you just this part here. Adolfo, hit the wall too, the flat surface where, right here, yeah, cover that so I could explain something before we call it quits and Jay puts the camera down and he helps us float this out. Now you see what he's doing there is he's going over the finish that came off. And we do have a few smooth finishes, which I told the homeowner, hey, we'll fix that and make it pretty for you. Blend everything in, because this is what they want, guys. They want a heavy finish, so we can do that. In fact, there's very little we can't do. All right. Cool beans, Daddy L. Let me get in here. There you go, there you go. You are the man. All right, so I take my float and I'm floating this out. and any excess I put right here. We just float it out, guys. We bring out the aggregate. So I'm taking it here, floating it out, feathering it into the ceiling also, and where it's real thick, like a little thinner, baby, little thinner, little thinner. Okay, so we pull it off. Yeah, we don't need that much. All right, so we take it here and we just float it. And this is old world charm, basically, which means the base coat is not exact, like say if I were to take a rod and make it perfect. So it's a little wavy, but that's what they have, that's what they want, that's what we are going to recreate. So since I dropped that float between the scaffold, I'll take this one I use for cleaning tools. It's kind of beat up, but we can make it work. All we're doing is floating it out, guys. We're bringing out the sand, giving them that sand finish that they want. And you know, technically, folks, if I were to do a smooth finish in here, say like, let's take diamond imperial, or the veneer finishes. It's even easier than what we're doing today, but for the sake of matching it, we'll go this route. Anyway, Jay's gonna put the camera down. He's gonna come up here and he's gonna float it out, and in 20 minutes we're gonna finish this up, tear everything down. We'll show you the final results. All right, guys, put a conclusion on this. If you take a peek at the ceiling. Now, what I recommend for you folks, if you ever want to do a ceiling, sheetrock it. Unless you want to go back to original, then you have to go the route we just did. It's actually a lot easier to do a smooth finish than this coarse finish with the aggregate, but we match and we do as we're asked. I want to say, too, if your ceiling is cracking and it's real bad, Jay does a lot of ceilings where he'll come and he'll put a coat of mud, and then he'll put the mesh netting. It's 3-foot rolls. He'll embed that in the mesh, and then he'll put another coat over that. That's another option. It makes everything bulletproof. I did my house. I bought it in '89. I did it like almost 30 years ago. This is how I did all my ceilings. But I actually have a hot tub upstairs, so I wanted the strength. And when hospitals and schools actually do it this way too, with different types of cement. Anyway, guys, that's another way to do it. There's many, many alternatives. My name is Kirk. Jason on the camera. We thank you for watching, and as usual, see you guys on the next one. Once again, folks, we thank you for watching, and I really enjoy all your comments.
If you guys like this video, please click the like button down below, and also if you enjoy what we do, subscribe to our channel so we can keep making these videos for you.
My name is Kirk.
And Jay.
We thank you for watching, and from the entire Giordano family, we'll see you on the next one.